Thank you. Good afternoon, Session Chair, the dignitaries in the dais, and all the dignitaries in the hall. A lot has been happening in satellite communication. A lot has been spoken between yesterday and what we have heard till now. So in the next 5 to 6 minutes, what I want to cover is speak from the perspective of the B2B market, mainly from the enterprise, government, aero communication, as well as maritime communication. But just to make it short and be specific, I'm trying to cover 5 key trends and opportunities that we see going forward. Most of it is known to all the people here. I think you're all professionals. I think we all know that. I'm just trying to put them in buckets so that it kind of perhaps makes a bit of better sense. The first is we've been all hearing about it, although there have been some debates as to what happens when the NGSO satellites come in. Will they take over the market? Does the geo satellites have a play, etc.? I think the trend that we see, or the likely scenario that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, is that both NGSO satellites as well as GSO satellites will coexist. A lot of developments are happening in the NGSOs, particularly in the LEO satellites, and we've been all hearing a lot about it. The key themes are in terms of latency, the kind of capacities that we have, and expected very low price points. At the same time, a lot is also happening on the GSO satellite arena in terms of the new technologies, very high throughput satellites, your software-defined satellites, much larger capacity than what used to happen earlier, and also significantly lowering of price points. And I'm talking of global trends here at the moment. So with this, the way we see it is that the market will align in terms of some specific applications, markets, which will be better suited for GSO satellites, the others will be better suited for NGSO, and therefore they will complement each other and both will coexist. I think that's the way we believe that the future would be, and the same would also happen in India. And we see that this will start happening in the next 2 to 3 years' time once the LEO satellites and MEO satellites become commercially available in abundance across the globe, including India. The other trend we believe will be there is in terms of multiple frequency bands coexisting, and will be required to give proper coverage for the entire market, in a market that I've defined so far from a B2B perspective. Currently, it is mainly KU and C-band in the country, although we've been talking of K-band in a while, but it's predominantly KU and C-band for the business sector. However, globally, it is not only KU and C-band, but it's also K-band, S-band, L-band, and others. Now, we all know that each of the frequency band has its own advantages and disadvantages. Apart from that, apart from the characteristics of each of the bands being different, there's another important factor that the device ecosystem has also built around that. So there are certain device ecosystem around S-band, L-band, KU-band, etc. So therefore, the market will again get aligned eventually to the frequency bands which will be able to serve a specific applications, specific geographies, or specific sub-segments of the market. So therefore, we believe that all frequency bands will be used for specific markets and applications, and and this is also likely to happen in India, and will happen in India, for which, of course, we require some of the regulatory changes, and which I'm sure we will see happening in the next couple of months and years. The other key trend that we believe will happen is in terms of direct-to-device applications will become more prevalent using satellites. With the launching of newer satellites allowing direct-to-device solutions, many of the applications which will become more prevalent and used across the globe and also in India. For example, IoT, machine-to-machine, connected cars, mobile phones connecting directly to a satellite. These are some of the applications which will become reality in the next couple of years' time, as and when the newer generation satellites are getting launched and becoming operational. India is a very, very large market. It's a very large country. The spread is large. I believe one of the highest growth in terms of IoT would also be India. and that will also be spread across the country. We know how the mobile industry is growing anyway. So keeping all this in mind, direct-to-device applications using satellite will also become reality in the country in the next few years. That's another view that we have. The fourth point that I want to talk of is in terms of satellite and 5G will coexist. I think this has been talked earlier today as well. But this is in the context of a lot of debate that often happens, that with 5G happens, once 5G comes and becomes a reality, what happens to satellite communication? Often we are asked that question by the various stakeholders, including sometimes in my board as well, in terms of what happens once 5G becomes a reality in the country. And our belief is that they'll coexist. In fact, satellite communication will help the 5G to get rolled out better in the country. The 5G satellite communication will be able to provide the much needed reliable and flexible backhaul requirements for 5G rollout, not only for the operators, but also for the private networks that will build up over and above over the years. This is over and above the fact that there are 5G compliant satellite getting launched, and therefore there are a lot of direct-to-device applications which will be coming, which will be in the ecosystem of 5G. And therefore, another theme that we see will happen is that both 5G and satellite will coexist and complement each other quite well. There could be some overlaps, but I think that will be much lesser as compared to the advantages that one will get because of the coexistence. And the last key theme that I want to talk of is that there will be more optimized solutions using SATCOM. Let me explain this. Currently, we use any capacity that we have for all sorts of applications. So today, if you've got couple of and whatever capacity we have, and depending on what the requirement is, be it a backhaul, be it a bursty application, be it an aero application, be it maritime application, we have the same capacity. But with so many different types of satellites getting launched, each having its own advantages, their own ecosystem, we believe that over a period of time, the application will all get focused into some specific satellites. No, not all applications will be run using the same type of satellite. I think that is what will make satellite communication being able to offer far more customized solutions as compared to what it is currently. And this will help in terms of getting deeper into many of the segments. And I'm not talking of differences with respect to, say, maritime, enterprise and maritime and aero. Obviously, there are differences. But within each of the sectors itself, for example, in maritime also, there will be different types of satellites of different orbital planes as well as different frequency bands, which will be used for handling different subsegments. Similarly, for aero, what you use for a domestic market may not necessarily be the same that you use for international market. Similarly, for enterprise. Enterprise anyway has got multiple sub-verticals. Now, each of them will, not each, there will be clusters forming which will be using the most optimized satellite capacity. And this is going to be very important because this will help satellite communication becoming far more mainstream, particularly in India, as compared to what it is today. I think that is where we'll be able to be able to give up the tougher competition to the terrestrial network, which is not possible today, because today we are relegated to that part where terrestrial network is not there, and therefore you go to satellite communications. That is likely to change because of this phenomenon. So all this will happen, according to us, in the next 5 to 10 years. And we can see some of this already playing out in different parts of the world, different markets. And in India also, this will happen. And we believe that the regulatory changes will be important to make this happen. And we've already heard about the new Spacecom policy getting announced soon. And we are hopeful as an industry that with the new Spacecom policy, we'll be able to do a lot that I've spoken about right now.